Welcome to the Compliance Quest presented by ProStratus. This is our opportunity to explain CMMC through the lens of D&D. We're going to be guiding our characters on the quest for compliance and the protection of CUI.
Hi, I'm Avery. I am a security and compliance analyst here at ProStratus. I've been working in CMMC for about a year now, and I am a CCP. My character is going to be the Druid. This is my first Dungeons & Dragons campaign, so I have a lot to learn about, well, all of it.
Hello, I'm Jarrett Young. I've been working with ProStratus for about almost 3 years now. I'm a cybersecurity and compliance analyst here, and I'm also a CCP. I will be playing as a paladin during this campaign. First round of D&D for me, and hopefully looking to learn more and apply my CMMC knowledge into D&D.
My name is Thomas Saul. I'm the Director of Security and Compliance for ProStratus. Been with the company for almost 5 years now and been a part of the CMMC ecosystem for about 3 years. A CCA, we do a lot in the compliance space and also just in general MSSP services for cybersecurity. I'm going to be playing the DM. I've been playing D&D for longer than these two have been alive. So this is not my first campaign, but really excited to translate CMMC through the lens of D&D and make it a little bit more fun. So it's not just reading the scrolls of NIST, but it's actually interacting with the environment.
That could be like a saying, this isn't my first campaign. Like, it's
Right.
not my first rodeo.
It's not my first rodeo. This isn't my first campaign. Yeah, I also developed a character for myself in case we want to switch out DM roles at some point for a session or two. So at that point, I will be playing a cleric who... I have to read my thing because I developed it and then I quickly forgot.
It's all right. First run through.
I know.
Maybe it is his first campaign.
Where did I put it?
It should be the last page.
I know.
Or
I lost
second
it.
to last
I think I might have.
page.
I think it's on the back of. Yeah, there it is. It's on the back of Jarrett's sheet. So my cleric is a cleric of knowledge and stewardship. So my role would be in the party to be a source of truth for our CMMC journey.
Hey, it's me, Tony Cooper, CEO, ProStratus. I'm excited to be part of the Compliance Quest. My character is the Mastermind Rogue, and my first time playing D&D. So like many of you out there, might be your first time going after CMMC compliance. We kind of have the same thing in common. So we're going to be going through this journey together, learning about the Compliance Quest. Excited to be part of it.
And my name is Eric Payne. I'm the Director of Engineering here at ProStratus. I've been with the company coming up on 2 years now. And for our Compliance Quest, I will be playing the role of our Wizard, which in this context will be our Arcane Analyst, our sort of Lore Mage, and our Sage of Requirements. So helping the party to take the runes and magical incantations of CMMC and apply them in a real-world setting inside of our campaign.
And I am Chelsea. I am the Client Success Coordinator here at ProStratus, and I am the Bard of Creation and Lore. So basically, I'm going to be behind the scenes making sure that everyone's journey and quest goes smooth and fantastic.
So Tony's going to be playing the Mastermind Rogue, and essentially one of the key components of this class is, and how this is represented in the CMMC journey, is executive buy-in, right? And so kind of the person behind the scenes that's giving some sort of push or asking the specific questions like Tony does. He's basically directing the timing and the tactics of the team to achieve compliance, right? He's not necessarily on the front lines. But he definitely has kind of the strategic overview of how things need to go and to be able to have that top level leadership, which, as we always talk about in the CMMC journey, is absolutely critical for the success of compliance and getting through an assessment and being able to maintain the controls and objectives. So the mastermind rogue is the perfect archetype for that in D&D, because once again it's kind of the waiting, not necessarily striking from the shadows, but has the capability to do so, right? I mean, in D&D, the key signature ability of a rogue is a sneak attack, right? Where all of a sudden you're in there, you do maximum amount of damage, and then you're gone again. And so to kind of represent that as executive buy-in, and I see Tony's laughing about that. So in any case, that's kind of the cadence that the mastermind rogue brings. What do you think, Tony?
Right. I think that's good, and I've been dying to play with these dice. So as my role, and I'm totally like not following this the quest right now, but let's roll the dice, okay?
Yeah.
Let's play the game, and you go ahead and pick a number, Thomas.
All right, let's do.
Is it time
12.
to roll the dice?
Well, what are you rolling?
12. Okay. I got a square dice, so it's a
He's
standard
he's
dice.
got a D6.
A D6.
Right now.
Oh, okay. So let's do a 2.
2. Okay.
4.
4. All right. And anybody else?
3.
5.
Ooh.
3. 5. All right. Guess that's 1 for me, right?
1 or 6.
6. Who's the winner? All right.
Chelsea.
Chelsea. She's like, I'll
Right.
take it.
No.
I'll take it.
Now, I like to roll the dice sometimes. Sometimes in CMMC compliance, it's time to roll the dice, right? And
That's great.
time to roll the dice and get started.
All right. So we'll do Eric next. So as Eric mentioned, he's the lore mage, the arcane analyst. Eric has a tremendous background in engineering, and so I thought this fit as well from kind of the intellectual perspective that a wizard brings to the table, the master of study in books. He's essentially kind of the interpreter of the rules, right? Making it so that the controls and objectives of CMMC are translated into what that actually looks like on the day-to-day, right? What does it mean to provide an artifact for a certain objective? All of those things is what that wizard would bring to the table, right? That knowledge base of how to take the concept, the esoteric concept, and bring it into a physical reality. So again, signature moves of a wizard, right? The lore checks, the studying the spell books, the preparation, the ritual casting, all of those things that goes along with being a wizard, Eric would bring to the table. What do you think, Eric?
I think it's an exciting spin on a classic wizard, and as you mentioned, I do have about 25 years experience of playing D&D. As Tom kind of mentioned, if we take those moments where he's going to join us as a player character, I will be swapping roles with him to play our interim DM.
Which will be fun.
I'm just glad you're sitting at the table with
And
me
DM
here
stands
today,
for
so.
Dungeon Master.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. DM, GM, right? Some people call it Dungeon Master. Some people call it Game Master. It doesn't really.
Okay.
Dungeon Master has different connotations depending on the context in which you're using it. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So we'll do Jarrett
No, next
next.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who else do we
next
have?
character. Yeah.
Moving on.
This kind of is sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts.
Redacted. We're going to redact that.
So Jared is going to be playing a paladin who follows the Oath of Protection and the Oath of Vigilance. And essentially what this is the enforcer of the controls and the objectives, right? The person who's the champion for making sure that everything's followed and done the right way. And again, why a paladin fits for that so well is because that is essentially what a paladin does, right? A paladin in the context of D&D is a holy warrior for whatever faith they're bringing to the table. That could be anything from a god to nature to order itself or whatever. And they follow those tenets and bring those tenets, through their character and live by those tenets, and all of their capabilities are tied to their ability to follow those strict codes. They're considered lawful in kind of the scheme of alignment in the game. And so Jarrett again is going to be the defender of boundaries, the defender of access control, all of those things, kind of the enforcer to make sure that the controls and objectives that are addressed and the way that they're addressed are consistently and persistently done. How does that sound?
I think it sounds great. It is totally opposite of my character.
I was gonna say.
I am so bad at like keeping us. Now on the security side, however, it's different. But as a paladin, I will say I have dabbled a little bit in paladin, and I think within 10 minutes of me being a paladin, I immediately broke my oath.
In Baldur's Gate 3.
In Baldur's Gate 3, I thought the knockout hits were on, and I just decimated someone with a hammer, and that immediately made me an oath breaker. So I'm hoping not to do that in this campaign. That would suck on the security side.
Be a fun character arc.
It'd be a fun character, right? It's like, hey, I'm the security guy. I can't make mistakes, but could happen.
I was doing some homework yesterday because I was trying to prepare for my first D&D campaign. But when I was reading about each of the characters, some of the characteristics of the bard really reminded me of you. I would say Jarrett's more of a free spirit and always in a good mood, very social, very musically talented.
Right. No,
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
You as a
Yeah.
person definitely kind of
a
exemplify
bard,
a bard.
and the
Yeah.
paladin is so opposite of me. It's like,
I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Chaotic, lawful.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So that's the other thing. Let me just, as an aside here, and we're not really emphasizing it here, but in an actual D&D campaign, oh, wow.
The camera just
Camera
decided
just
to move.
decided to do its
It
camera thing.
loves you.
One of the things
That's some kind of spell, I'm sure. that, Eric did over here, right?
I know there's like
That's
hand
wizard
commands,
play there.
hand
Spell
commands
of
that you could
optical
do.
focus.
Yeah, there you go.
Spell of
Here,
optical
move it back.
focus.
Use
Perfect.
your mind to move it back.
But one
Oh
of
no,
the
Chelsea's
Mind
getting
to move
mad. The Dunkins and Dragon or Dunkins,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dunkin'
Dungeons and
Donuts.
Dragons.
Dunkin' Donuts got.
That's a new branding.
I was just
Duncan and
distracted by
Dragons.
But in any case, in a traditional D&D setting, there's kind of two metrics that you
Did it work?
track your character on. The first is good, neutral, and evil, and then the second is lawful, neutral, and chaotic. And then your character is lawful good, chaotic evil, anything in that mix. So.
Yeah, every time you speak about D&D, I just always go right back and how does that apply to CMMC?
Yeah.
I clearly see.
Well, actually
this is going
alignment
to
could,
interact.
right? Alignment could,
Yeah.
because there's, even if you just look at lawful, neutral, and chaotic, right? Your approach to the controls, right? Is it measured? Is it, is there a cadence to it, or is it just scattershot, right? And both have places in the CMMC journey. It would just depend.
So like Eric's character would be like a lawful good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what about Tony's
So,
character?
yeah.
Tony's character would probably, so rogues are tricky, right? You kind of have your archetypes. Like your paladin is going to be traditionally for players, you're going to be more on the good side and you're going to be more on the lawful side. Rogues are usually more chaotic, right? They just kind of follow their own code. They do their own thing. No one's going to tell me what to do. But so, I could see that actually. A mastermind though might be more in the middle, a little bit more neutral, right? A little bit more measured, because you're kind of calling the shots from behind the scenes, and you can't really do that if you're terribly unpredictable. People aren't going to follow you. So
Chaotic, but with conscience, right?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, almost a true neutral.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can really play the field in any direction, and it all fits your character.
All right. Well, that makes it easy then.
Structured or wild, you fit the bill
I
because
think that's
you're
pretty
right
good.
there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good character because that sort of, emulates, I guess, how I act in the real world. So
Yeah. I would say most
Yeah.
people as people are pretty true neutral to neutral good. Right. It's really hard to be totally lawful.
Right.
And it's also very non-productive to be totally chaotic. So yeah.
Right.
And so the paladin would also be a lawful good.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because think about it this way, right? If you're following some sort of strict code or guidelines, so like a wizard is very regimented because of this amount of studying they have to put in.
Right.
Paladin is very regimented because of the tenets of their faith. Whatever that faith is, they're still tenets.
The faith of security.
There you go. The religion of security.
Yeah.
Right.
Good Lord.
Have we gone through all the characters then?
We
Is that
still
everybody?
have Avery and Chelsea.
Oh, Avery. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do
right.
Avery next.
Okay.
So Avery is going to be playing a druid, a circle of the warden, and a keeper of the environment. And essentially, what Avery's role is to make sure that the living ecosystem of systems, assets, baselines, and configurations stay healthy for compliance. Right. So taking the idea of a druid being kind of the guardian or safeguarder of nature and applying that to CMMC, right, where CMMC is the natural environment. And so she's the one that's in charge of kind of cultivating, making sure that nothing is hurt, making sure that there's no to put it in D&D terms, no necrotic decay. Right, in the environment, which we could translate to creep or, people not following policies and procedures or any of those things. She's the one that's going to be in charge of kind of safeguarding that.
So it's kind of centered around this idea of balance.
Yes.
And so this is like, how do you implement the security while also balancing convenience and making sure people can actually access the things that they need to and do their jobs?
100%.
Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep. All right.
Right. I think on the compliance side, that's what we see quite a bit. It's one of the biggest challenges. It's like, how do you implement the new controls and change people's workflow and
But also keep them happy and
keep them happy and
functional.
productive.
Mm-hmm. And then
All
going
right.
even
Well,
further.
Avery, good job with that. So.
Going even further than that, I would say that another challenge, and this is something that we are experiencing, and I think a lot of people are experiencing it now on the other side of your assessment, is how do you maintain that balance?
Yeah.
Right? You've gotten there, and how do you make it so that there's no slip? Right? So that when self-attestation comes around, everything's still true, and then when your next C3PAO assessment comes around, everything is easy.
Right. It's not these wild ups and downs in compliance in
Right.
between assessments. How do you just maintain steady compliance?
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right.
What about silent Chelsea?
Yeah. So Silent Chelsea is
I've
our
never
she's.
heard that before in my entire life.
Right. That's definitely the wrong character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right. This again, like Jarrett's challenge with being a lawful paladin, Chelsea's challenge with being silent. So no, Chelsea's our bard
That's a
of.
compliment. That's a compliment.
No, I know. I don't mean that in any derogatorily.
Well, and the bards aren't really silent.
Not at all. Not at all.
Nope. Complete opposite. What is it? It's difficult to get a bard to shut up, right? Aren't people grunt at the bard? Come on, man, just shut up.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
there's
get it going.
There's some idiosyncratic D&D humor that isn't appropriate for this podcast about bards. Eric, I think, probably knows what I'm talking about, and we could talk about it off recording if you want to know. But okay, so Chelsea, she's our bard of creation and lore, and she's essentially the producer behind the scenes, right? The one that's making all of this happen, the one that's keeping us on track, the one that's keeping our timing on, all of those things. She's the unseen world builder who designs the quest and everything surrounding that. How that translates to D&D. And CMMC, there's all in my mind, and one of the things that's important about CMMC is that it's not just an IT problem, it's not just a security problem, it's not just an executive problem, it's a business problem to fix. And that means that inadvertently there's going to be people who are in play in the CMMC journey that didn't know or that weren't anticipated. And so to me, how Chelsea fits into that is she's that silent partner, right? She's the one that gets brought in because she knows about an onboarding process or,
Right.
background checks or whatever it might be. For D&D, for obvious reasons, right? The bard is the one that creates the story. The bard is the one that tells the story. And so I think bridging those two is what Chelsea is going to be doing.
absolutely. I'm here. Just want to support you guys and make sure everything runs smoothly. And we have lots of fun doing this too.
All right, that's the crew and cast, I guess. I think kind of what I want to know or just talk about is, the quest. I mean, why should someone listen to this? I mean, what are we doing? What's the takeaway? What's the quest all about? Why don't we just kind of throw that out as a topic and roundtable it, and what are we trying to accomplish, and what's the takeaway here?
I could start with that. Honestly, we were talking about CMMC and kind of thinking of a way to bring it to an audience without it being so dry, right? I mean, we've read through, NIST 800-171, 853. We've read through all the excuse me.
It's a tricky word.
Yes, it is. We read through all those government documents. I'll just say that. Is that the right? Can I use that word?
Government governance documents.
If I may use that in my vocab.
a tongue twister.
We went through all those documents. It's dry stuff. It's boring. I mean, honestly, if someone says, I love reading NIST 800-171, I don't think you should trust that person. I just don't. Yeah, that is not a human at that point. I don't know what that is. It's a machine. It might be AI. Who knows? But so we decided maybe we can take a little fun twist on it. So that's where the compliance quest came in. So we maybe we can tie it in with D&D. We can use like kind of tabletop exercises, but in a D&D way, to see whether or not you can pass or fail an objective, or if we miss something, and then we can kind of base that of like, who's your authorized user list? Okay, let's roll. Let's see what you got. Oh, it's a 1. You didn't document anybody. You have no idea who's supposed to exist here.
It kind of is a gamified tabletop exercise.
Exactly. So that's kind of why we wanted to come at with the idea of running this like a game, just to make it a little bit more fun tabletop exercise, and try to go over scenarios or that could possibly happen in the CMMC landscape, and that is the quest for compliance, right? But Tom, I don't know if you have any words on that.
I've been talking a lot, so I think it's so. But let's do this, right? We're gonna play a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let's do some trial runs here. Tom is reaching for the dice.
He's getting the dice. Which dice are you getting?
So I'm getting a D20 because it's my favorite. So let's do this to see who goes next. Avery, Eric, and Tony, give me numbers.
5.
So we're going to roll initiative.
Yes.
7.
All right.
Oh wait, was I supposed to
roll?
roll for the number?
No, either
gotta
way,
roll.
right?
All right.
What we'll probably have to do is next time we'll make sure that everyone has. I'll bring in my peasant dice for you two.
Thank you.
19. If you want, I'll roll for you. Or just
Well, we
pick
got
one, Avery,
these
I guess.
fancy
I got
dice.
19.
We could roll the fancy dice.
Those dice are
I don't
cursed.
like
I got
the peasant
19.
dice.
My dice are.
Ooh.
You need to explain that to what does a peasant dice mean?
So okay. So I have this.
What is a peasant
I don't know if
dice?
this is for the podcast or not, but it's. I
everything's
think
for
it goes
the
into D&D superstitions, right? I have my dice bag, and I am a famously terrible die roller.
Yeah.
So when and Jarrett's seen this in other contexts. I am. If I roll 50-50, it's a really, really good day for me. And so when I don't let other people touch my dice, it's actually for their benefit, because I don't want them to inherit the curse that I have been blessed with.
You would not want to take this guy to craps.
Yeah. And so when I say my peasant dice, I have other sets of dice at home that I don't touch, that I allow so when people come over to play games, or when we're doing a D&D session, if someone forgot their own dice, they use those. So I just call them the peasant dice because they're just open for everybody.
I'm kind of like that for Risk. That's another dice game, right?
Yeah,
Same thing.
exactly.
You don't want anybody touching those.
Yep.
Okay, so
Gotta
there's
roll all
this,
sixes.
this dice in the fancy dice set, and it has 50, 90, 30. What's that for?
So that's what Eric was explaining. That's a percentile dice. So you roll that with another D10, and then you combine the two.
D10. Oh, that's
Same.
what this is.
That's a D10. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it only came with 1.
Should have come with 2.
There's just too much math in this game.
I don't know.
You can always roll.
Well, this was
roll
part of
those
my
D10s
concern.
twice.
Yeah.
Was letting me and Chelsea pick out all the things we thought were aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because I picked these because they're pretty.
Those
And
are
I
those
don't
are
know
really cool
anything.
dice. They're really cool dice.
These things will destroy the
Avery,
table,
we
though.
did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean,
These light up over here. Do you guys, does yours light
No,
up?
no,
Look,
we
they light
can
up.
we can give an audio test
light
though.
up dice.
I actually have a set of those at home. I can
Uh-huh.
bring that in next time.
We can give an audio test of this
Too
really
bad.
heavy dice here.
Yeah, they're sturdy.
I'm
yeah.
gonna
These,
drop.
well, they're metal.
I'm gonna drop it. Here we go. We're gonna drop it on the table.
Oof.
Oh my God.
There's some
That's
weight.
like
to
a
these.
hammer to the head.
Yep.
That's got some.
That's
depth.
also our physical protection system here at the Arizona office.
Wow. You guys.
Physical
So that one that he
access
just
control
dropped,
system,
Avery,
It's a deterrent.
that one that he just dropped, that's a D20. Go ahead and
Yeah.
roll that one.
Okay.
Oh gosh, here we go. Oh.
18.
18. Eric, what'd you get? 5?
That was it.
I got a 7.
Tony?
I'm 19.
19. All right. So Tony goes, I would say Tony goes next as far as you answering your own question.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, the quest. Why are we here? Yeah, to me, I like the comparison for the quest with D&D because I kind of look at this as a battle. You know, we're going into war. I don't know why I equate quest with war, but that's the way I look at it. And when we first got into this, you know, it's a bit of a mercenary, like the whole CMMC. Let's go make some money. Let's go do this. And I quickly have turned into a patriot. It's something we have to go out and do, and we have to learn it to protect our country, to protect our business. And you know, I think back and I get a little choked up whenever I think about it. My grandfather was in World War II, and he was a paratrooper, jumped out of an airplane. And when my dad graduated med school, he got drafted right away, and for Vietnam. And his first cousin was actually on the Arizona during Pearl Harbor and lost his life at 18 years old. And he's entombed in there. He's still there. He's on the plaque. And I did not get to serve. And this is a way to give back. This is a way to serve our country in a very serious, you know, endeavor. And I truly think it's a battle, and it's our patriotic duty to go out there and go on this quest and go on this campaign to, you know, achieve our objectives and our way of life. So that's where I stand on it. That's why I'm here.
Very nice. Very nice. The next number.
Eric did 7. I
Eric.
rolled a 6. So
Perfect.
So for those of you who know me, you know that I speak often in analogies, and I think that CMMC is such an obscure and hard to understand object that speaking to it in analogies through D&D is going to help a lot of people that are just getting introduced to the topics and the premise to really have it sink in and have some teeth, as opposed to having to go, what does this all mean? How do I even rationalize this in my brain? I'm just reading all of these policies, all of these rules and structures. And if you don't have a framework to put something against, it's really hard to build.
Right.
So I think this will help give people framework. And that's super important to me because we can think about our company like it's our kingdom, and defining the parameter of our kingdom, be it our firewalls and our network or our physical security. All of those can be put through the lens of D&D to give perspective. So
That's my wizard. That's my wizard right there.
Yeah.
no, and I would agree with that. I think that you know, one of the things that's a struggle in the CMMC space, especially for OSCs, MSSPs, you know, even assessors, and the consulting services that kind of come along with everything, is being able to translate what is stated in the objective and control, and then bridging that gap to what does that actually mean, right? One of the things that's a benefit, I think, of NIST 800-171 and NIST 800-171A is that it is open to interpretation, and there are decisions that the OSCs can make in order to adapt that framework to their environment. Right. That's a really nice benefit of kind of the openness of the framework. However, what that means from a consulting perspective and an implementation perspective is that there's a lot of variety there for interpretation. There's a lot of variety there for implementation, and understanding how an OSC does things or how we do things fits into the requirements, but aren't necessarily the only way to do things, right? And I think that how that translates really nicely to D&D is everyone brings something different to the table, right? Every character looks at it from a slightly different perspective and can bring expertise in how to do things. And then collectively as a group, because that's what happens, right? As we're going down this CMMC journey, it's a business collectively that comes together to figure out how to solve these problems. It's not just one individual that says this is the only way that it can be. It's these conversations, the debates that happen in a party for how to solve certain problems or how to defeat certain monsters or obstacles or whatever it might be. And so I think that, to me, it's a natural crossover. It, like you said, gamification, it's perfect, right? The analogy, it's perfect because it's taking something that, whether you've played D&D before or not, there are certain elements to D&D that are just kind of a part of the natural or cultural zeitgeist. Like we were talking about this the other day, right? There's certain references to, like, if I say you shall not pass, right? If you've never seen Lord of the Rings, you still know what that means, right? You've still heard that. And so there's certain cultural elements to D&D that I think translate really nicely to CMMC. As far as, why we're doing this and the quest and the mission, I think that regardless of your political proclivities, protecting the human being of our warfighter is incredibly important. And so that to me is what this is all about, is protecting individuals, protecting humans, and making sure that, like Avery said, our colleagues, I served in the Marines a long time ago. It feels like another life, but even still, to make sure that those people who stood by us and are still standing by us are protected and not being exploited, not being undermined by industrial espionage, by state, threat actors who are just simply out there to either steal our weapon systems to replicate them, steal our technology to replicate it, or to figure out ways to defeat it.
Right. And something else I will say, as someone who is just getting into the space within the last year, there's a lot of information out there about CMMC, but it's hard to know where to start. And there's a lot of jargon that comes with CMMC, and trying to just jump in and figure out what people are talking about and what they mean when they're talking about, some objectives can be scored as NA, or just all these different things where you're trying to figure out, where do I start? I think, and there are other podcasts out there about CMMC that are super informative, and I listen to a lot of those trying to get started. But again, I think there's a huge barrier of entry, and if we can make these analogies and take the time to break it down, it makes an easier starting point for people to learn about CMMC.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
I agree. Just think of, mentioning Lord of the Rings earlier. Think of passing your level 2 assessment as Frodo carrying the ring all the way to Mordor. It is a very long hike, and it's going to take a very long time. It's a lot of work, but once you get it, you're done.
And no, the Eagles couldn't just show up and carry him because they were involved in wars in the North, okay?
There was no get out of jail free card there. So
I still haven't watched Lord of the Rings.
Okay, we're done here.
I know.
Come on.
I knew that was going to make you guys mad. I need to do it.
That concludes this episode. Thanks.
Jared
Make a
gave me
roll of
other
dice
movie
and
homework
something
too.
bad happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Avery, don't worry. I haven't watched it either, so you're fine.
Chelsea, you're supposed to be helping us out.
Yeah.
You're making us look
I don't
worse.
watch it either.
Sounds like we need to do an extended
Right, that's
edition
gonna be-
viewing. Yeah, 13 hours.
Right. That's the next podcast. It's just
Right.
watching 6 hours of that movie,
Yep.
right?
It's just a
man.
reaction video.
Yeah.
Oh my.
All right. Well, that's good. So that's all great reasons why to tune in and go on a journey with us to find the quest, to get everyone certified, right? And have a little bit of fun doing it at the same time.
Perfect. All right, here we go.
Let's roll the dice.
Okay, so to start off our quest for CMMC and to protect the kingdom of CUI, we're going to determine whether or not CMMC is a priority for our party. So I would like everyone to roll a d20, please. It's going to be an insight check. All right.
I got
Eric?
a 10.
10? Tony?
15.
15. Avery?
5.
5. And Jarrett?
19.
19.
Paladin
All
style.
right. So Eric, Tony, and Jarrett, you guys succeeded. Avery, you failed your insight check. So as a party, I would like you to now discuss why CMMC is important or why it's not.
It's not that it's not important.
Well,
It's just not immediately important. It's still phase 1 of the rollout. We have time to do our self-assessment for a little while longer, and it will be a huge, huge increase to our spending.
But there are so many opportunities and issues that could come up in the midst of us trying to delay our certification. We could lose out on revenue and gold for our kingdom. We could lose all sorts of unexpected intelligence from our vaults and our coffers without us ever knowing, due to unexpected espionage that we don't detect because we haven't set up a perimeter.
And not only that, but
Right.
what if we have security issues that we've left open?
Well, compliance isn't security. We still have security controls implemented to do everything exactly like CMMC says, and have someone come in and consult us on how to do that and then assess us. It's going to cost a lot of money.
What about your team though? Is your team on board with it? Have they reviewed what their duties are and what they're in charge of?
I'm starting to get a little lost.
I think from the guys, I think that from the business side, the government put a requirement in. There's a lot of risk if we're not compliant. There's a lot of, you have to have your certification if you want to keep your contract. And we don't know exactly, a lot of times we say like, well, we'll just wait for the renewal. That's when they'll check. But we don't really know that. They're allowed to come and ask for evidence at any time, not necessarily when you review. So if we don't pursue this, there's a lot of risk involved for the business for not having that. So whatever it takes, we need to look and evaluate to see what options we have out there and what timeline is really needed.
Let's pause right there, Chelsea, and I'm going to pick it
That
back.
was so good.
Well, hang on. I want to pick it back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
So Avery,
Yeah, we'll help. Yeah.
little help. So your character, right, Druid, all about balance,
Right.
right? So what would CMMC implementation do to balance?
Well, it would take it largely out of balance. That would have to become our number 1 priority.
So there you go, right?
Okay.
That's another reason why not now, right?
Okay.
Is the disruption.
Okay.
And then the rest of you can provide counter arguments to that as to why.
Should Eric be a little bit more balanced because he's a 10 or no, were you 10?
So I'm using less of the 10 role and
Okay.
more of the archetype of the
You can.
character.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I
Something
think
else
that leaves you, Avery, to throw every excuse in the book of
I
why
know.
not
Right.
do it.
Well, it's so opposite of me.
It's like don't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
gonna
the fun of
happen.
D&D right
Well,
there.
and
The
all I'm
rules-
coming up is
the
with
rules are gonna
arguments
change.
against myself,
Yep.
because I was like, oh yeah, the DibCAC assessments are increasing, so it doesn't matter. And anyway, but that
Well, now
We'll throw it in and
it's your time to be.
Just as a little bit of like player coaching. So Tom and I kind of discussed a little bit of this. And so when I play, I actually typically play characters that are almost antithetical to myself. I play unintelligent tanks that just hit things. and so a lot of the time, if I have to make a choice as a character with a low intelligence or a low wisdom score, I will actually think as a human being, like, what would I do in this scenario? And then I just do the exact opposite.
right.
okay. It's just getting hard when you're having to debate people, and I'm like, I agree with all of you.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
right.
And you just have to say, I agree, and then just flip that
So-
thought
Yeah,
in
and
your
be
head.
like, you're wrong.
I want to get back into Avery's response, but just as a side note, when I was in college, I did a great deal of philosophy classes, and one of the best teachers that I actually had 3 classes with him because I liked him so much. The first class I had with him, we wrote papers, right? So Jarrett took one side of an argument, I took another, and we had to present on them. And when we went to present, he said, "Give me your papers." We gave him his papers. He switched them, and he goes, "Now argue the other person's side," with no notice. It was awesome.
So as a druid, I would be very concerned with the balance of things and having to alter course and make compliance the number one priority for the kingdom. That really throws off a lot of things, and you need to take into account where that time and energy is going to come from, and how are we going to make this practical for people to still continue operations.
Yeah, I think, I get your point there. I think it's going to be kind of easy. I mean, you already said we have the security. I mean, we just need to kind of fill out some paperwork and get it done, right? I mean, it's still an important issue, but I mean, is it really a big deal to get compliant?
Well, and as you know, we have a lot of wards and structures in place that provide us with those defenses already, but we do need to spend the time and energy to evaluate if there are gaps in those wards and defenses, so that way we can keep ourselves safe. And even if that does throw us a little out of balance, I think it's worth the expenditure of energy and resource to make sure that we're in a stable position long term.
So if we have all of these security controls implemented, why is it so important to have them documented?
Because it's our duty to safeguard the kingdom's most precious assets.
Is there a reason outside of just because I said so?
Well, of course. As a person who believes that having security and keeping our assets guarded is utmost importance, no matter the cost. It should always be the most important feature.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is that we have these security controls implemented, but what's the importance of documenting those controls that are already implemented?
The point of that is that some people follow that to an oath, right? They follow the documentation and they pledge themselves to it, and they follow it to the T, and they make sure that they're always inside the path, the boundary, and what they can handle and what they're capable of, and that they don't overstep.
So you're saying it's important to have them documented so that there's a guideline that has to be followed to ensure that the controls are implemented?
That is correct.
And check if they're actually correctly implemented?
Mm-hmm.
I think it just comes down to, once again, the DoD says we have to have that for our contract. So the business needs the certification. I just think that we already have the technology, we already have the security. What's the big deal? Let's just, fill out the paperwork and submit it in and start this quest off.
And to make sure that we have the accounting and auditing ability is absolutely a must, because at a moment's notice, we have to be able to say, yes, I know that all 30 of our citizens are able to successfully validate that they are following the practices that were laid out in their oath.
Well, this isn't something that
Right.
we can just jump into and schedule an assessment for tomorrow. There's a lot of planning and preparation that needs to go into this. Also adjusting the
I'm
budget.
sure we can make a few phone calls and write a check and somebody's going to come do it, right?
Well, it depends on if there's enough hireable mercenaries.
I don't know if we we
I
can
think
find
that's
gold somewhere.
I think that's a great point, Tony. What you're alluding to is that this is not just something that is a check the box, right? When we're looking at defining kind of what this quest is and how we see it and the level of importance that we give it, it's something that requires an institutional shift. It's not something that you can just say, well, great, we've got all these, let's just take screenshots and throw it in there and we'll see how it goes. Walking through the 110 controls and 320 objectives is a journey. It is a quest, and it's something that does take time and planning, and it's not just something that you can say, well, we're doing all this. You can try to do that, right? And you're probably going to end up failing. But the methodical nature of CMMC and going through the cadence of the documentation and making sure that because part of the documentation piece is also that A, you have it, but B, that it's being followed, and that's not always easy.
Right. And I think the character, kind of emulates leadership, right, at an organization. So it's not just should we go on this quest, because to me it's a no-brainer. It's like, hey, the government says we need it. We're not exactly sure when, but we know we want to do it. But there's a lightness to it. There's an underestimation of the work and how difficult it is to go get that. And that's an education point, right? That's something that you need to get leadership to not only buy in but understand the work, because it can't be very difficult if you don't have the resources assigned and the workload calculated and the technology changes, security changes. How are we going to change workflows, that type of thing? If that is not explained, then you're going to have resistance during your compliance journey. So that was the point, really. That character is to emulate that.
And I think we've seen that multiple times, right? I mean, ourselves, and clients, and then potential clients as we kind of walk through the questions with them and vet where they're at. It's hard to know what it's going to take until you're in the mix, right? And we've had clients that have come to us and said, "Yep, we're pretty sure we're ready. Just help us get over the finish line."
Right.
And as we pulled apart their stuff, we're like, "You are nowhere close."
Yeah.
And for ourselves, when we went through this journey ourselves, we were preparing for 2 years, and even still, we had no idea kind of what the lift was going to be, what kind of some of the shifts we were going to have to make, and a lot of the things we were already sort of doing, but buttoning it up and making sure that we're doing it all the time. And I hear a lot of times at conferences and in conversations with other CCAs and C3POs and all of that is, the biggest part of CMMC is documenting what you're doing and then being able to prove that you're doing what you're documented, right? It's that cycle. And a lot of people are doing it already. It's just not documented, or they've got the documentation and the documentation is so out of touch with the reality of what's happening in the environment that it's just not matching up.
Well, and I think something else that
Right.
we've
So
seen. I think something else that we've
Go
seen
ahead,
a couple
Avery.
times with clients is they've been going off of the 110 controls for CMMC at the level 2, and their SSPs, which is the system security plan, are written to those 110 controls without addressing the specific 320 objectives. And they think that they are ready because they have all of this for all 110 controls. But gosh, that puts you so far behind. There's a lot more specifics that go into actually addressing the 320 objectives.
Exactly.
Right. So just to kind of like put a cap on it, like when a company is trying to determine should they start their quest, I mean, what are the 5 things, or I'm making up that number, but what are the top things that people should be talking about? Like, I think first and foremost is, do they have CUI, right? I mean, what are some of the check boxes that someone needs to kind of go down through that rationale if they're ready to go on this quest? I mean, what are the big takeaways? What are the things that they should be evaluating to make that decision if they want to go on this quest or not?
I think part of it is how they generate their revenue as a business. Are they partnering with government entities that are going to require them to have this certification to even accept or win a bid for a contract going forward? I mean, that's a reality that we live in today that wasn't true 2 years ago. There are new compliance requirements to actually win a contractual bid. So if they're not looking at it from that perspective, they're looking at losing revenue for their business.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I would say, I mean, Tony, you kind of hit on one, as far as the identifying CUI, right? And I know there's a lot of gray area there, at least in the eyes of OSCs. In the eyes of the DoD, it's not really a gray area. If you have CUI, you've got CUI. But there's a lot of people who are trying to skirt this by not marking it or by just pretending that it's not there. So I think that's kind of the second one, is, do you have CUI? And if you do, you need this, right? It's really not a debatable thing. Like you just do. Another one for me, I think, is one of the, if you're going and looking whether you need this quest, is getting leadership buy-in, right? If we don't do that, or if you don't do that, ultimately it's going to fail, because there's budgetary implications. there's business process implications, right? Like I said at the beginning, it's not an IT problem. It's not a security problem. It's a business problem. And so getting that leadership buy-in, to me, that's absolutely part of that beginning of the quest, right? You got to, if you look at it from a D&D perspective, if you're sending a party out on a quest, the king needs to give you some money to get you new equipment, right? And so that's that's how I look at it, right? You've got to have that leadership buy-in.
And teamwork. You can work as a team. So it's not, like Tom's saying, it's not an IT problem. So you can't just leave it up to the people that are in charge of your tech systems. It comes down to, you got your HR, you got your front desk person, you got the guy or a janitor that cleans. It's an all included effort. So everyone needs to be involved in it and understand the stakes, and needs to work together and give their input, but don't be, how to explain it? Don't be a hard head. There's gonna be some times where you're uncomfortable, right? And you want to challenge, that it's affecting your job or your ability to do something. Well, that's when you can kind of see if you can come up with a compromise, or talk about how there may be different ways to handle that, certain objective. But that's why it comes into a team effort, because if you don't communicate, then it's going to be a rough time for everybody.
Well, and something that we've seen too,
Right.
I feel like we've had a couple different contractors thinking that they can purchase compliance, and thinking if I pay someone to write my policies, or pay someone to write the SSP, then I'll be compliant and it'll be fine, it'll be taken care of. But the other piece of having the documentation is doing what you document, and whether your practices are technically meeting the requirement, if that's not what your policy says as to how you're meeting that requirement, that's a fail. So you can't purchase your way out of this. You really do need a business change.
No PTW, pay to win.
And I think that brings up a really good point. Is it's okay to have consultants provide templates and stuff like that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't just submit the template as your documentation, right? You've got to make it reflect your environment as an OSC. And a templated SSP or a templated policy stack, all those things are great starting points. It's great starting points. But that's where the OSC has to have some investment into it as well, right? They have to have some skin in the game. You can't, like you said, you can't just purchase your way out.
Right.
It's just not possible.
It's like copying someone's homework, right?
Right.
Let me see your homework, man.
Yeah, I think
There's nothing wrong with having an expert walk you through the process.
Right.
It's just that you have to complete the race as well. You can't just have someone run for you.
Right.
Correct. Tony, sorry, go ahead.
Right. Bottom line is the resource commitment from the company. You got to have that available, or it's not going to work. You have to put in the time. You got to put in the implementation, the training, the buy-in, and somebody to take that template and turn it real into your company and drive those changes through. So it's just not going to happen without it. You'll take a process and work on it for years and probably never get there without that resource commitment. So that's another big checkbox I would put in. If you're ready to go on this quest, make sure that you have the resources available to help with the implementation of change, because there will be. And you're talking about the buy-in from people. I remember about half the people ran out of the building when we took the cache passwords out of the browser.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a big culture shift. So there's going to be change. And having that leadership buy-in, like you said, and but probably more important, just having the resources to articulate that and implement it and get it approved, and making those policies your own is a
think
requirement.
One of the things too to understand is as an OSC going on this journey, you're not doing it alone, right? Just like a D&D party, everyone brings something different to the table. Everyone brings different pieces of expertise, different pieces of experience. And like Avery said, hiring experts to help you along with that. Yes, there's certain things that you just have to do, right? I always use this as an example, but we're starting right out 3.1.1, right? Where you identify authorized users. An expert can help you right? We can say it should look like this, but we don't know who is an authorized user in your environment. So you have to do that, right? And but that being said, it is a team thing. It's a confusing space. The quests oftentimes get very convoluted, and you get sidetracked, by sirens or banshees or whatever monster you want to throw in there, right? To reflect other issues that come up throughout the day. But there are people that are available to help. There's MSSPs. There's consultants, and I would say a word of caution, right? Make sure you vet people who you're going to be working with. Make sure they are experts, because there's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. We see it, right, with the SSPs that are written, and it's like,
knowing what these companies have paid to have somebody write their policies or SSP for them, and seeing what they've gotten, or even providing a gap analysis, you feel bad. It's just like they were robbed and they just didn't even know.
If I could make an analogy, what would the DM be in D&D? Would you consider that kind of the consultant or the expert?
I would consider the DM being the, honestly, probably the, gosh, that's a good question. The DoD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say the framework, right?
Yeah. Or that's exact, or CMMC itself, right? CMMC as an idea. Yeah.
You are CMMC.
I am
Yeah.
CMMC.
Well,
Should we? Oh, sorry, Jared, go ahead.
You are the dragon.
I love that whole topic, and I think that's definitely a whole nother show to talk about, like the quality of consulting out there. That's a deep hole on that. But just to slip back into characters, it kind of we've kind of talked in character and out of character, but are we ready? Do we go back and roll? And how do you decide if we're going to take the first step? All right, let's go, Tom. Set us up.
Okay, so as you're discussing this in the town square, a messenger comes to you and says you're wanted in the castle, and so you guys follow the messenger into the castle, and you're pulled into a side room. It's very lavish, right? There's purple carpet, and it looks very comfortable. There's bookshelves and whatnot, and the messenger says, "Have a seat." And so you sit down, and a few minutes later, an older gentleman comes into the room and introduces himself as the advisor to the king, the viceroy of the kingdom. And he explains to you, he says, "So I understand that you've been interested in going on this journey to complete our CMMC assessment and certification." And he goes, "I cannot stress to you enough how important this is. Not only do we feel vulnerable in the protection of our most precious assets, our CUI, but we also just feel vulnerable in the state of security. And we think that this is a way to give us a leg up on the kingdoms around us, to be able to secure trade routes, to be able to secure all of those advanced technologies and weaponry that is going to make us more secure. So I would task you with going on this journey and leading us to CMMC." So now I would like every one of you to roll your D20s. It's going to be another insight check. Roll at advantage, please. So again, advantage meaning that you roll a D20 twice, or two D20s, and taking the higher number. Okay. We'll start with Eric.
Got it.
I rolled a 17.
17. Tony.
18.
18. Avery.
I rolled a 5 twice.
There's always one. There's always one.
You're dragging us down.
I know.
I rolled a 1 and an 8.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Oh, wow.
So luckily the DC was lower this time. So you actually all passed.
Oh.
The DC was a 5. So
Wow.
congratulations.
DC.
What happens
difficulty
if you didn't pass?
check.
Does
Oh,
that mean
okay,
you don't get
okay.
to go? You don't get to go?
Yeah, then you're not. You're kicked out. That's it.
Wait,
Thanks,
Oh, I
thanks for
barely
showing up
made
today.
it.
Yeah, you barely made it.
DC is difficulty check, not
Yes.
domain controller? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Different world, different acronyms. Yes. So all of you
everyone to
passed.
Intune anyway.
All of you passed. And so now if you would like to revamp kind of why your character sees this as an important quest, please do so.
I think
as
with
I
my
was-
character being focused on the balance of things, if we start on this now, it doesn't become an emergency later. And that actually does help us to steadily progress and maintain balance better than having an emergency in the future.
Absolutely. I believe that going through the process and validating our awards and security and all of our parameters will give us the peace of mind and ability to proceed with some of those trade route securings and new technologies from those foreign sources.
Right. I think it's all about, eliminating risk. It's, we need to be compliant to keep our revenue stream and our business running. I actually think it'll create some opportunities. I think having the certification will open doors as maybe the market potentially could consolidate. So I think putting ourselves in a position early will actually be an advantage for us. And secondly, going back, I think it's the right thing to do to protect our way of life. So it's a very noble cause.
As a paladin, it is my oath to protect the kingdom's CUI. So I will do whatever I can to keep my shield high and my sword sharpened. That way, get my sword. I want to keep my sword sharpened and my shield held up high and strong to keep an impenetrable wall to protect our kingdom's assets.
And with that, the party sets out on the first part of their quest to define the boundary of the kingdom.
And so, our party's quest pauses for now. The kingdom grows safer with every requirement mastered and every threat understood. We'll regroup soon to pick up the trail, explore new realms of cybersecurity, and uncover the secrets behind the next great compliance challenge. Travel wisely. The next episode awaits.